forget. Yeah, you do.
What?
This is SheEO.
Yeah. This is SheEO with Anna David.
And Lauren Wallett.
Anna David is a New York Times bestselling author of 8 books, and she's the CEO of Light Hustle Publishing, which helps people take their stories and turn them into bestselling books.
Lauren Wallett, meanwhile, is an international lifestyle business coach.
It's recording on the thing. 1 second.
That usually doesn't happen.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
How dare you?
We did such a good intro. Yeah. This is SheEO with Anna David.
And Lauren Wallett.
Anna David is a New York Times bestselling author of 8 books, and she's the CEO of Light Hustle Publishing, which helps people take their stories and turn them into bestselling books.
Lauren Wallett, meanwhile, is an international lifestyle business coach and the CEO of Alchemist Academy, which helps people take their ideas and turn them into gold. You can't see her skirt, but it's a gold skirt.
Just like this. Weave the fabric of their life into something beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, thanks.
So we have an amazing guest today, but before we get to our amazing guest, we talk about a business lesson.
Which also happens to be related to our theme today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, this is the thing I'm the most obsessed with, is how to make a book a bestseller.
Yeah, and Anna is brilliant at this. She literally has changed my life when I learned of how to do it the wrong way, which turns out how I've been doing it my whole life, and how to actually do it effectively and quickly. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to share.
Quick lesson. Here's what you do. You gather an advanced readers group / tribe. Call them your ART. Gather them, 30 to 40 to 100. Why not be optimistic? Give them your book a month ahead of time. Upload it onto something called bookfunnel.com. $20 a year for a subscription. You show it to them. They read it a month ahead of time. 3 days before your book is officially released, you drop the price to 99 cents because these are your loving tribe people. You don't want them to spend $14.95. You have them buy the book for 99 cents. Then you have them review. They've already maybe prepped the review if they're listening to you. They cut and they paste it, copy and paste it, put it on there. Suddenly, then you put the price back up to $15.95 or whatever it is. Drop it like it's a Beyonce album. You didn't tell anybody. It just comes out. Suddenly it comes out and people are seeing that you have 40 reviews on your thing and it's #1 in every category. We have a way of making it in 10 categories instead of 2.
Yeah, this is key.
It's amazing. And so then Amazon starts recommending it. Now, if the people in your advanced reader group are the sort of people that would already buy your book, as in they've already been buying books about recovery on Amazon, it starts recommending it. It starts being like, customers who bought this also bought. So you're kicking that Amazon algorithm into gear. You have 40 reviews and you're ideally #1 in all 10 categories. That's how you do it.
It's amazing because the alternative is go onto Amazon yourself, try and figure out how to upload your book, create a cover if you can, and then hope that people buy it. And as I told Anna, even after I spent thousands of rands, not dollars, in South Africa going to a whole writer's workshop, writing my book, the person went on who I did the course with and gave me like a 3-star review. Like
her teacher.
Yeah, my actual teacher. So it doesn't, just do it this way.
Although I will say this, you actually don't want all 5-star reviews because those look fake. That's another thing. Your advanced readers group, you don't want them to write amazing reviews. You want them to be honest, and you also don't want them to be in your family because Amazon can tell. Amazon has people and bots that are constantly searching. And a girl I don't even like very much, I hope she's not watching, reviewed my book, and she got an email from Amazon that said, this is a biased review because you're friends with Anna. Yeah. And I was like, I beg to differ. So we're not really friends.
Exactly. So be careful, but all of this information can be found on your course.
Absolutely, yeah. I have a How to Make Your Book a Bestseller course. We're not talking about that, but it does exist.
It does. But let's get into an author in progress at the moment who's got an amazing book that she's working on. Hopefully we'll hear some about that. And I'm going to read her introduction because it's extensive. So, as a certified holistic health practitioner, Sarah runs a leading mindfulness-based private coaching practice in Los Angeles. Her unique heart-centered approach has helped hundreds of women across the globe make sustainable lifestyle changes and heal their relationship with food and bodies, which is a huge one.
Oh yeah.
She's the founder of Awesome Inside Out Movement, author of the e-course Meditate Slim Mastery, and advisor to international wellness brands and soon to be a Hay House author. Sarah, thanks so much for being with us today.
It's Sarah Stewart. We're
Thank you
so
much for
excited you're
having me.
here.
I wanted to take notes while you were
Right?
talking, but
I kind of feel your energy taking it in. I was like, Sarah's
I don't
into
have
this.
a pen, but good things are friends. And
We'll tell you later.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. So let's do a quick recap overview of how you came to be sitting here today on this couch.
Yeah, so thank you both so much for having me. It's just an honor to be here. I grew up in a really holistic environment. My father was teaching mindfulness practices while I was young. We were doing yoga in our basement, growing wheatgrass in our garage. So I grew up in this really holistic world.
Wheatgrass in your garage?
Yeah, like way before.
Didn't even know you could do that.
No,
Way before,
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Michigan, but way before like the holistic world was like
Trend-setting
trending.
Stewarts,
right?
yeah.
And so when my father got cancer, terminal cancer, which was heartbreaking when I was in my teenage years, he decided to use alternative medicine and food to basically heal himself. So I had this really beautiful relationship with food, but then on the other hand, I was scouted to model. And so within 10 years, I developed a series of eating disorders. And so on one hand, I had this beautiful understanding from when I was growing up. And then on the other hand, I was like, how did I get to this place where I'm literally sitting across from the doctor saying, you have to make a career change, you're going to die. And that took me on this journey of really diving into the subconscious patterns and the programming of, what happened while over the course of that 10 years, like what had happened to me, what had happened to my mind. And I started to study nutrition, and I went back to school, and I wanted to change my career, but the anxiety around my body got worse because I was getting more and more information. And so to make a very long story short, I ended up diving into meditation and mindfulness and really reprogramming my subconscious mind around food and my body. And then I started applying that to my coaching clients, and I realized that there was this space in the market where everyone keeps selling the same thing, lose 10 pounds in 10 days, and there's a lot of these detox protocols, but no one's really taking a different approach, which is the mind-body approach, which is, to lose weight loss through meditation and mindfulness. And it was this missing piece. And then all these women were like, I've tried all these other things, why not try something new? And then it kind of just rippled from there. And then I started growing my practice.
So this is what's fascinating to me. So how much do you think the modeling industry made you sick or changed your thinking to take it from this like very holistic, happy place?
Yeah.
And was it people being like, you need to lose more weight or whatever it was?
Yeah, so I remember signing the contract, and this guy that had scouted me on the street basically said, like, we'll make you a star. And of course they're telling everyone that, right? Because they want to get them in to sign the contract. And I remember thinking very clearly, like, I have a really good head on my shoulders, I'm gonna be fine. But at the time I was like a tomboy, I wore sneakers, I played sports, like I didn't know anything about makeup and heels and these things when I was, 14 years old. And so it's hard to know exactly how much of it was specifically from the industry, but within 7 days I started dieting and I started to lose weight, and I was told I couldn't go back to playing sports, and all of basically my entire life changed. And then what really happened was I went back to high school and I started getting bullied from the experience of modeling, which started to decrease my self-esteem. So on one hand I was like, shooting for magazines and so forth. And on the other hand, I'm like being bullied at school.
Because they were jealous.
Yeah, probably-ish. So there was, it could have been other things as well. But there was this dynamic happening that really started to influence my years growing up. And I think there was other wounding that happened with my parents' divorce and some other things that really impacted this desire to really be in control of my food and my environment, right? And so there was a lot of reprogramming that needed to happen. And so I always say, like, if your diet starts Monday, if you want to start another diet, think about the emotional components as well and the mind-body connection, because there probably is something else happening.
Do you remember any of the specific stories or like sentences that were in your mind that were playing over, like lose weight, you can't play sport? What were the other limits that they were putting on you?
Yeah, so most of it was this just idea of unworthiness, and that everything was based on my appearance, and that's what controlled my income. And I went from, living this small town to being able to make money, and then I left home. I moved to Chicago when I was 15 for the summers, and then I moved to Miami and New York, and I was pretty much on my own, living a life that I wanted to keep, right? I was enjoying my life and going out and socializing, and I was diving so much into this reality that I was becoming so disconnected from my past. And I remember just thinking, like, this is my way of survival. Like, if I gain weight, I don't make money. And so when you have that sort of pressure on yourself.
And so fear-based.
Yeah, it was so fear-based. And then when my career was coming to an end, I ended up getting implants because I was like, this is going to extend my career. And then it just trickled from that. And so now I speak out a lot about my breast implant illness and getting sick from my implants.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
And you had them taken out.
I had them taken out.
When you shared that at one of your events, I remember feeling like I was very inspired by that because, as you know, I had my implants put in when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
It was my first paycheck that I'd got from doing a TV advert, and I was like, I'm going to buy myself boobs because I want to be a woman, and like I couldn't wait for my own self to develop. And it's like a part of me now that I'm more embodied and more comfortable with who I am, I'm like, wow, I've still got these weird plastic things like covering my heart.
Yeah.
It's a kind of weird shield.
I sold my car. It was like that shameful call home
To
my
get him?
Yeah, I'm like, Dad, I need you to sell my car. And he's like, are you in trouble? Because I had never called home for money ever before.
I need boobs, Dad.
And like, he was like, what are you doing? Are you sure? And he, you know, it was like this, you know, very, and I like went in, got them, got out, like by myself, no big deal. And then 9 years later, I ended up suffering with 2 years of severe illness and not being able to get out of bed, and it became this really, really serious thing. And I now speak openly about the impact that breast implants can have. You know, not everyone has that impact, but some people do get very sick from them, and so that's something I had experienced.
We should mention, by the way, that your dad is healthy and alive
Yes.
today, and I met him at your house.
Yes.
So that completely worked.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So how did you transition from there to being a coach and helping other women? And is it all women in your practice or men too?
There's men too. I work with entrepreneurs as well who are like living this life of like more money, more money, more money. And there's this idea, right? I think right now is specifically this hustle, like you gotta hustle, but then we're not putting our health first. And so a lot of men have been, you know, reaching out and getting support around that specifically. But how I transitioned was I basically started studying nutrition because I wanted to get certified. And when I knew I needed to make a career change, this seemed like the obvious fit, right? And then what happened was I felt very much a fraud in my practice because I was coaching women on green juice and filling their fridge with like all the stuff from the farmer's market and going to yoga, but yet I was having anxiety in my own body when I walked past a mirror or on you know, when I got my picture taken. And I think that's so often, right, we feel that as entrepreneurs, like this idea that we're a fraud in our own, you know, ability to coach and so forth. And I remember just specifically thinking like, there's another layer of work that I need to do to feel fully in alignment with this practice. And so I just kept doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. And like, I mean, even myself, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm willing, right, to continue to do the work. And I think that's the most important thing as an entrepreneur, is just willing to see your blind spots, willing to get a coach, willing to say like, I'm open to still growing as a person and I don't have all the answers. And so as I continued to do the work on myself, I started applying a lot of the things that were working for me to my first client, and the results were just incredible. She had stopped binging after years and years of binging. And I was like, there's something here that we're missing. And now we're seeing statistically that diets bring more anxiety, more stress, more irritability, and so forth. And so we know diets aren't working. We know statistically obesity is going up, chronic sickness is going up, there's more women with eating disorders than ever before. So like something in our system isn't working. And I personally believe it's like the mind-body connection and it's the mental component, because my doctors even signed off on me and said, you're physically better, but I wasn't mentally better, right? And so I think that that's part of the piece that we're really missing.
Yeah, like it stops being sustainable unless there's that connection.
Yes.
And I love what you said also, that this idea that as coaches or people, if you've written a book or you're doing something, that you're supposed to know something. But we're all in that process. And I'm studying at the moment with this amazing coach who I'm obsessed with, Martha Beck, obsessed. And she always speaks about the first principle is live it to give it.
Yes.
That you can't expect anything from your client that you aren't doing yourself. And it's quite great then that you have had those things like looking in the mirror, because the minute you said that, people, well, I can relate to that, or that feeling of going, I'm telling someone to live this healthy life, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And that feels more connected and more truthful. I love that.
Yeah, and I also had opened 2 businesses before my current business that I was running. I was running a retreat company, and then my first business that was teaching people about prevention, and I was basically telling my dad's story. So I was running this retreat company and then sharing my dad's story, but then I was hiding behind my own story. And when I met my current husband, he was like, he's a storyteller, and he was like, you have this incredible story that's going to impact lives. Why aren't you sharing it? And I recognized the wounding in myself that needed to be healed. And then I ended up transitioning out of those other companies into mine. So your company is going to evolve, right, as you evolve. And it can change, and I don't think we should feel bad or have guilt or shame around the fact that we close a business down and open one up as we evolve as humans as well.
Yeah.
We had an idea for a segment here called the Business Idea Depository, which were all the businesses we'd started or had not started, but that we thought were amazing ideas. Because
great,
who
right?
starts and has their first business be some raging success?
No, I mean,
Maybe your husband. No, he was a club promoter, right?
Yeah, he was promoting clubs, and he talks about that he had many businesses.
Yeah.
And he had to sell his car and move in with his brother, and it's the people, the entrepreneurs that are successful are the ones that keep going and are consistent, and as they evolve, they grow, and they're resilient. They don't stop.
So how much of these stories now are you putting into your book?
Yeah.
And how much can you talk about?
Yeah. So
And when does it come out?
it comes out in a year. Yes, I'm so excited. And I sat down with a really well-known publisher, and she said to me, "Don't leave anything out. Put everything."
I saw your
in."
post yesterday.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
like, "Don't leave anything out. Like, you might not ever get the opportunity to share again." I'm like, "What about the second book? What about the third book?" And she's like, "No, put everything in." So I went home, and a lot of the stuff that felt too raw, too vulnerable, too scary to put in, I just started piecing back in, and the publisher might cut it, but I was like, for me, I want to just put everything out there. So I talk about my breast implant illness, I talk about my eating disorders for 10 years, I talk about the modeling industry, culturally, how things need to shift.
Yeah.
I talk about the statistics of what's really, really happening. How do we empower each other and come together as women to really, build up? Because a lot of this is really just women fighting women in terms of like, I'm paleo, I'm vegan, I'm body positive, and I'm like, what if we were just, everyone was inclusive and loved each other and promoted self-love, and that was it.
How do you think we start that conversation?
I think we start with ourselves.
Okay.
I think it always comes back to ourselves, because if you look at like a post and then you see the comments underneath, you can really see the state of the awareness of that person and what they're sharing, or their own pain point, or their own internal struggle that's happening. And I've even realized in my husband posted a thing about him moving away from certain types of meat and so forth, and he was coming from a very good place of how challenging it's been for him growing up, on Mountain Dew and sugar, and backlash that he got. And I was like, he's moving in a positive direction, right?
Yeah, and people don't like
it's just
that.
backlash.
I think there is a
and, like,
backlash with moving forward.
that
Or like-
he was
Oh,
like,
because
Yeah.
people feel left behind.
that he was like, and like that he wasn't to where they are yet. Like he's not fully vegan yet, or he's not, fully organic. Like, but it was like this moment in me that I was like, wow, like we have a ways to go. Like we really all should just be, if someone's moving in the right direction in their awareness and their shifts to create a better planet, like let's applaud them and be excited for them and support them, and let's support each other, and really like coming together and giving a heart and a like and a smile and a hug, and like these things are really, really important for building the self-esteem of younger girls.
Yeah, I think there's that, that tall puppy syndrome.
No.
Where if you stand too tall, if you're too big or too bright, that's like a point of attack. You're a target.
Yeah.
So I think there is a lot of pressure. Like if you're going to rise up in your field or be really successful or have a point of difference, there's a lot of fear from like the masses of, oh, that's scary, it's dangerous, you can be attacked like that.
When
So
you know
pulling
you've made it
down.
when you've got haters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
you
it's not a great
become
feeling.
mirror for their own insecurities.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And I mean, what's beautiful about it too is like for me, when I do get that comment that, feels a little like triggering for myself or something, I just am like, hold love and compassion, and then also address this in a really, really beautiful way. Like, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. I'm sorry you're going through this. Like, I recommend getting support and help, and just like holding space for that person that's really like challenged and struggling. Because I know what it was like to be in that space. And although I probably didn't verbalize it, I had thouts that weren't the most loving.
Sarah's
and
a
they were
troll.
Jealous.
She trolls people online.
I troll. I have a whole
Secret
team of trolls. No. I actually try to be offline most of the time, because I realize it definitely disrupts my
Flow.
groundedness and my flow and so forth.
Can
Yeah,
I ask
totally.
you just selfishly,
Yeah.
what is your stance on keto? Because I'm doing it right now. I want an expert stance. Uh-oh.
How are you feeling?
Well, good, but I've never done a eating plan. I'm actually relatively healthy about food,
Yeah.
relatively.
Yeah.
And I'm really loving it because I love fat.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So it's great for you. So I really focus on bio-individuality, which is
Right.
I never ever give any of my clients the same protocol, because every single person has a different lifestyle. They like different types of food. They have different choices, and they also, I think with the stress and with everyone's at a different age. All of these things contribute to what works with someone's body. And so, of course, there's staples of health. And what's so interesting, a lot of people are like, I don't have money to be healthy. And I'm like, the staples of health, actually, you don't need money. Like, go walk in nature, go ground yourself in the earth, like, go drink some water, meditate, sleep, quiet your mind, de-stress, decrease inflammation as much as possible by getting rid of sugar. So if it's working for you, I am all for it.
Well, here's my thing. I realize I have no willpower, but lots of discipline, and keto's really good for that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that list you just gave. I mean, I can put that into a checklist of all the points of what people can do to be healthy.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what is your secret sauce? So if you had to create a recipe for someone who wants to create their own health and wellness business, what are some of the things you wish you had, those key ingredients within yourself that they can start to cultivate as they hear you today?
Yeah, so I think for me specifically, like one of the best things I did was storytelling, and it was really just being able to share my story and overcoming that fear. And when you start to get the positive feedback instead of the negative, like it is momentum to just keep going, because now it's like every day I get email after email of women that are just like, thank you so much for speaking up about this. And so being able to tell your story, having the courage, learning how to storytell, I think is really important. Like, there's a whole process behind it, which I resisted, and actually hiring someone to help you tell your story. And I think also looking for where the market's headed in terms of, it's important to look at trends and so forth, but I also think it's not, because I think trends come and go. And I think it's really important to look at like, what is sustainable, right? Like, what are things
I'm just
that
loving
people
these
could
S words.
use?
Sustainability,
She's using all of them.
storytelling.
Like,
You're saying everything.
Yeah, like
lighting me
how
up.
can I build a business that's going to be around in 20 years? And so when I was looking at things, I'm like, these diets are in and out, like, and it's not about profit, it's about impact, right? And so I'm like, these diets are in and out, like, I'm not here to just make money quickly, like I want something sustainable. And meditation, mindfulness is sustainable. It's going to be around in 20, 30 years. 40 years, like, I feel like it's going to be around forever.
Like breathing, it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was a missing part of the market, where if I do a good job at storytelling, like it's not an instant fix for women, but if I can storytell and say, hey, you've tried this and this and this and these things aren't working, so why not try something new? Sometimes you don't need what you don't need to find to do what everyone else is doing, or look at, like, I think it's almost like take a step away, go in nature for 3-4 days, like really connect to what you're going to be wanting to talk about for a really long time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to do something very quick though now.
Quick, yes.
Yes. So this is our word game.
Oh, gosh.
And you have to just say the first thing that
Don't
comes to
think.
your mind. There's no right or wrong. Don't judge yourself
gonna
if
love
you
it.
can. Let's go.
Yoga or spinning?
Fun.
Wait, what?
Fun.
No, you got to choose one or the other. Your options are limited.
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Okay, Tinder or Match if you were single.
Tinder.
Freelance or full time?
Freelance.
Medication or meditation.
Meditation.
We know this one. Full moon or new moon?
Full moon.
Oh, text or email.
Email.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yay.
Yes.
Thank you
pass.
so much. Yeah, that was excellent. Well done. You did a brilliant job.
They're both fun.
Yeah. Good answer. Better than awful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Sarah, you were amazing. Thank you so much.
But yeah, I really loved
you
that.
guys.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. And if you want to watch the rest of our SheEO episodes, you can go to sheeoshowtv.com.
Or you can find it on the EverTalk app on Apple TV and Roku, and follow at EverTalk TV.
Do that. This was SheEO with Anna David.
And Lauren Wallett.